Imagine for a second that you boot up a game for the first time. And upon opening it and pressing start, you're met with a faction, a character, or a class selection screen. There may be some tooltips as to what each faction is good at, but ultimately you're new to the game, so you don't really know how any of them play. So, not thinking twice about it, you pick the flashiest one you see. Now, what if I told you this decision could make or break the game for you? This is Warthunder's first problem. The new player experience is completely defined by an arbitrary decision. That is, the decision of which country to grind. Most players pick the big three: USA, Germany, or the USSR, but all of the countries have a vastly different playstyle. Whether having a meta of lightly armored tanks that are fast and have big guns, or incredibly heavy tanks that rely on their armor but end up being very slow, each nation has their own distinct playstyle. But, of course, you're a new player, none of this is explained to you, and you're going to have to figure this out the hard way. In fact, you don't even know what playstyle you'll prefer at this point. You'll only figure that out as you get a variety of new vehicles, which could take from tens to hundreds of hours thanks to the grind. The majority of players, at least excluding top tier, are free to play, which makes it pretty much impossible to grind out more than one tech tree. What this means is that when a new free-to-play player starts the game, they're basically locked into the nation that they choose when they first start. This can often lead to a lot of frustration, whether at the vehicle they're playing, the nation's tech tree that they're grinding, or the game itself. It's never fun to be stuck playing vehicles that don't fit your playstyle. The best example of this is Germany's 8.0 lineup. This is a major turning point in the German tech tree, as the vehicles switch from a doctrine of heavy armor wins all to a more modern doctrine that prioritizes speed over armor. Naturally, many players absolutely hate this lineup. It's no fault of their own though, it's just not their playstyle and not one that they're used to. On the other hand, there are some people that say the lineup is great. Either way, the truth is probably somewhere in between. Regardless, this brings me to my first point of why copy and paste isn't all that bad. Firstly, it allows players to experience vehicles and playstyles from different tech trees without having to completely grind through that other tech tree. Now, that's not to say copy and paste is always a good thing, as I'll get into later in the video. And don't get me wrong, copy and paste is incredibly lazy, but it certainly does help players get a taste of different playstyles that is incredibly beneficial to any player, but especially to free-to-play players. Take the Chinese air tree for example. This tech tree has some domestic Chinese aircraft, along with Japanese, American, and Russian vehicles. And many of those tech trees also play incredibly differently, with early American propeller planes focusing more on energy and altitude compared to the Japanese props, which often sacrifice everything in the name of turning. In this case, without copy and paste, some players of these tech trees wouldn't be able to experience a vehicle whose playstyle they like. The second reason copy and paste isn't all that bad is because of fear of missing out vehicles. These vehicles, whether premium vehicles, event vehicles, or former battle pass vehicles, are either locked behind a paywall or time specific, meaning that if you didn't play the game by a certain date, you have zero chance of getting these vehicles. And oftentimes they're actually pretty neat. A more controversial vehicle, the T-58, was put on a poll where players were asked where they'd like the vehicle. The overwhelming majority voted for it to be in the tech tree, and Gaijin still added it as a premium and locked it behind a paywall. This is a case in which copy and paste would be beneficial if placed in the tech tree. An example of this can be seen with the Russian BMD-4M. The BMD-4 was the first iteration of this vehicle, which was originally an event in 2021. Gaijin later added it as a premium vehicle, meaning it was still paywalled. But more recently, about a year ago, it was finally added to the tech tree, albeit slightly inferior to the premium counterparts. Still, this is a very good example of what should be happening to all the unique paywalled or event-locked vehicles. I think the reason they don't do this is because Gaijin doesn't realize just how many people would be willing to buy premium if the tech tree included all the cool prototypes that are currently locked behind events and paywalls. Many of these event-locked vehicles aren't even prototypes. For example, the 1954 EBR upgrade on Warthunder's own wiki page says 279 units were produced. That's undoubtedly more production than some of the vehicles even in the tech tree themselves have. If you couldn't tell already, I'm completely against paywalled vehicles and limited time event locked vehicles. I believe every vehicle should be attainable by any player. The final reason copy and paste ain't all that bad is because it fills out smaller nations' lineups. This is the most common excuse used by Gaijin as well to justify copy and paste, even though it's probably one of the more minor reasons to have copy and paste. This can be beneficial as some of the smaller nations just don't have enough of their own domestic designed vehicles to make a complete tech tree, and would otherwise be rather empty in some lineups. Now let's get into some of the ways that copy and paste is bad. First off, it's an incredibly lazy way to add quote-unquote content to the game. Warthunder having over 2,000 vehicles is always used in every marketing ad I've seen of it, but it doesn't hit the same when half of them are Shermans, T-34s, or F-5s. At this point, it seems like Gaijin is just adding vehicles to add them, and for the sake of making every nation feel good with every update. Spoiler alert, if you try to please everyone, more often than not everyone will just hate you. Additionally, too much copy and paste can make the nations not seem distinct enough, and it can also get boring to fight your own vehicles. I don't see a lot of merit in these two arguments, as I haven't had a bad experience fighting my own vehicles. It is really nice to know the strengths and weaknesses of the stuff you're fighting, and having less distinct tech trees is a necessary evil to help free-to-play players be able to experience as much of the game as possible. Although I will admit copy and paste can make it extremely difficult to play Sim when you don't know if the T-55 you're looking at is a friendly or an enemy. Ultimately, while copy and paste does have some issues, these problems are more than offset by their advantages. First of all, copy and paste allows players to experience vehicles and playstyles from different tech trees without having to grind through those tech trees first. Secondly, copy and paste can prevent vehicles from being paywalled or locked behind limited time events. Event-locked vehicles have been saved in the past, and they should definitely do it again with many more. And ultimately, copy and paste can fill up lineups for smaller nations. While copy and paste is an issue, it definitely benefits more than it harms, and these other problems are what the community should focus on much more than copy and paste, such as unique event or paywall locked vehicles, the maps being the exact same for years and years, and lack of game modes. Out of all the issues Warthunder has, copy and paste is easily the least of the offenders and shouldn't be focused on as much.